votes on election day. And by the way, they took it really,
it's
serious.
important for sake of perception, for sake of political figures. So it would be nice to also see supporters of different political parties at polling units also, channel interest. So I understand why the international committees think it's a big deal.
All right, and meanwhile, the election.
I think so.
I'll leave that.
All right.
I don't know.
Every party, we support an election, basically.
All right, let's move on now to Vanguard. The major headline is INEC unveils voters spread 9 million PVC. These are probably people that have Japa or Kano, Kaduna, South, Northeast, South, the UK, Japan, Australia. All of them have one thing on it. There's a lot of interest. So it's also going to be happening tomorrow, and of play out would be more details and all of that. So yes, we've been popular for. We also have here,
and a commercial flight actually landed there.
The old state of diversity.
Really, it has to be a good one.
Particular story we have that of Ogun State witnessed the maiden commercial flight, and this sort of a dream by former Governor Gbenga Daniel. Atmosphere for industry are ready to defend democracy at all costs, says the CDS General Lucky Irabo. That's the Chief of Defense Staff. So in the papers, you look through page 11, you have there, it has riders insist elections will hold in every part of Nigeria. DSS uncovers dangerous weapons in political party building. Catches of high caliber arms, ammunition recovered in Kaduna, Delta, Zamfara, Plateau, Anambra. Governors only entitled to move with ADCs and orderlies. Monitoring teams will arrest escorts breaching IGP's directive. So yes, that's escorts are supposed to stand
yeah.
Yes, but then I think the security agencies are on top of situation
somehow. Yeah,
one way or the other. I mean, the with the report
working very hard,
that they're doing, some massive raids and all of that, checking every nooks and cranny to ensure that everything, there's not going to be any
the bad guys are taken away from the streets, so a good one from our security operatives here.
All right, so the Chief of Defense Security Agencies were ready to defend democracy at all cost. Armed Forces of Nigeria is committed to strong and viral constitution.
Fight the black spots, the paper. So I think again, Nigeria,
reporters. History being made. All right. Also moving ahead, stay in your house. Also, no any. That's just it. It's also for your own good. More details on the report from the security agencies on page 11 of Vanguard newspaper. We also have here Kano boils, 60 arrested, 3 vehicles burnt, many injured, and that is on page 10 of Vanguard newspaper. So help us
God.
Thank you. So, following clashes between rival political party supporters on Zaria Road in Kano State, no fewer than 63 suspects have been arrested by men of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC. So the rival party supporters wielded different dangerous weapons during the clashes, including burning 3 cars and smashing other ones. Many others were confirmed to have been injured. That's been curtailed already in Kano State, but then that's another reason why we should all be be on alert tomorrow. Naira redesign, Buhari not in breach of Supreme Court order. And that is on page 12. So remember that last week we had conversations as regards the 3 state governors who took the federal government to court, also going to court to say that the president was in contempt of the Supreme Court. So now what we have is from the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami,
our dear friend,
our wonderful friend, has said that the president has not acted in breach on the case instituted at the Supreme Court by some state governors over the Naira swap deadline. He said, as far as the rule of law was concerned, there were many options available, adding that the fate of state governors and other individuals being investigated for alleged treasonable utterances over the Naira redesign policy would be determined by the security agencies involved. So we're not focused, I don't think
we've
lost focus at this point.
Our dear friend Anthony General needs to understand that. Look, yes, we understand that people may come up with the idea of a treasonable felony. The governors have said this is treason and all of that. The reality that these are governors with immunity; they can be prosecuted, and then the idea of a treasonable felony will still be judged on by a court. The Attorney General cannot on his own decide what is treasonable felony or not. If you think somebody has done anything treasonable, you still have to go to court to prove your case and then have a judge decide on it. Again, I think on this issue we should just wait to see what the Supreme Court will decide on it. It's a consolidated hearing already. They've given all parties opportunities to push forward their case, and they will be making a decision on every issue, jurisdiction issue, whether there's the issue of contempt, whether every other thing about this matter should rest until we have a pronouncement from the Supreme Court. And that's March 3rd, right? It's close to us, so we should just all calm down. I think that we should also calm down and allow the Supreme Court to take a decision on this case.
Well, he should. He also mentioned that there's only a few individuals that are promoting the interest of some persons that might have got their wealth illegally and looted public funds, which they intend to use to influence the electorate.
As in, we should all calm down.
The elections.
The AGF too should calm down, because again, if we keep pointing fingers, there are fingers that could be pointed at him too. So I think we should stop finger pointing and just allow things, let's just calm down, Malami, calm down. No matter.
So it's all good.
Let's just calm down,
All is fair in the war. More details on page 12 of Vanguard newspaper. It's a long read, but then the AGF, as expected, has come forward to try to defend the president.
But let's see what the Supreme Court will say eventually on all these issues.
He is his official lawyer. So, more details on page 12. All right, moving on now. We also have here on the front page of Vanguard newspaper, sit at home, Simon Ekpa arrested, released by Finnish police. That's on page 13. Troops arrest mastermind of Abuja Kaduna train attack.
That's a good one.
That's interesting. But let's get the details, shall we? So what we have is that the defense headquarters said yesterday that troops of Operation World Punch have arrested 3 terrorists at Damba community in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. According to the military high command, one of the arrested terrorists confessed to being one of the masterminds of the Abuja train attack that happened March 28 last year, after that left 9 passengers dead and scores of others kidnapped. Okay, I'll say. So well, I guess that's a good one.
Well, it would be nice to see them have their day in court, prosecuted really. We should see them prosecuted, have their day in court, and see how the case would go. So far they are confessing, but they still should go to court and be prosecuted properly.
All right, and that's all we have from Vanguard newspaper. It is still trends in the papers on 98.3 Mainland FM. Let's keep moving now. We have the Nation newspaper. Interesting stories here. We're going to avoid quite a lot of it due to
political stories.
There are political stories. All right, so permit us. But then, of course, you can have the Nation newspaper yourself much later on. Now, on the front page of the Nation, we have here Ogun Agro Cargo Airport records maiden flight. That's on page 27. Electoral process kicks off with hitches, mix up in media accreditation.
Yeah, we do.
Yes. Finally, somebody has said something
about what we are going through.
To ensure that.
I'm sure we're fine.
But then what we have, after going through the rigor of online registration for accreditation of reporters for the coverage of the 2023 general elections, media houses in Lagos closed last night without getting accreditation case cards for their workers.
It's everybody.
I thought we were the only ones, Okpa and I kept going and coming. And, at some point.
Well, the problem is that today we'll get it. So
yes, but then we are really hopeful. I've been optimistic.
But nice that we got it early, get ourselves prepared, and all of that.
In 2019, a lot of media houses also got theirs on Friday morning. So it's not a new thing, but then the Nation is not happy about
They are speaking on our behalf, right?
So, several media houses and state correspondents could not find their accreditation cards in their chosen locations, despite assurances that the exercise will be smooth. So the Lagos West media houses were told yesterday to send their reporters to the Commission's offices in the state for manual accreditation today. So the reporters were told to come with the identification cards of their organizations. Let's do that. Guardian newspaper. All right, let's see what we have trending on the front page. Nigeria decides, that's the major headline. Borders shut. INEC upbeat. Buhari in Dara as 87.2 million vote. And there are riders to that. Lagos Kano lead in PVC collection. INEC clears air on alleged preloaded beavers. Abide by peace accord. Biden tells Tinubu, Atiku, Obi, others. United Nations, diplomatic community, Lord signing of peace pact. Meta to activate mechanism to fight fake news. NCC, ignore fraudulent messages of network shutdown. I think we mentioned that yesterday. Situation room to NCC during elections. So, barely 24 hours to decision day when Nigerians will march to the polls to elect the next president and the National Assembly members. INEC said a total of 87.2 million registered citizens are eligible to vote, and which represents 93.3% of total registered voters in the country. And as it is now, what we also have from this report is that the INEC chairman has also fully committed himself to a free, fair and credible process. They want to once again declare that the allegiance is only to Nigeria. He said, and I'm quoting, "Our commitment is to ensure that in this election we put everything in place for free choice, fair contest and credible outcome." He also provided clarification on news making rounds on social media about existence of preloaded beavers. That's the bimodal voter accreditation system, which was alleged to rig the elections. But he said that he does not know about the existence of such a device. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure what that means.
How that is possible.
Or how that is possible. But he's saying the beavers cannot be operated before the election. It will only start working by 8:30 on election day. 8:30 a.m. On election day. Also coming in is that the federal government has ordered the closure of Nigeria's borders for the conduct of the election, and this was made known in a communique from the Office of the Comptroller General, NIS, that's Nigeria Immigration Service. And it said that Nigeria's land borders will be closed effective 000 hours, that's 12 a.m. midnight on Saturday to 12 a.m. Sunday. Okay. And so those in charge have been instructed to command all
land borders.
Yes, all land borders are to be closed. All right, that's a good one.
Yeah, for security reasons. Yeah.
Also, the president has arrived in Dara, his hometown of Katsina State, ready to vote. This will be the first election since 2003 where he won't be on the ballot. That's interesting. You know how many times the president has actually been on the ballot. So he arrived at the Umar Musa Yar'Adua airport at exactly 4:41 p.m. and and proceeded to Dara on a white helicopter. Okay, so everyone is getting ready.
Honestly, I like the commitment of the president somehow to these elections. You know, the fact that he wanted to set up a transition committee so early.
So early.
You know, a lot of the other elections is after the elections that the transition committee is set up, and he did it very early. Again, maybe to assure Nigerians that look, May 29, 2023. I'm handing over power to a newly elected president. So he's back in Dara ready to vote, and I think it's also a message to all Nigerians that look, Saturday, go out there and vote.
All right. The diplomatic missions I've mentioned already, that's of the United States, Australia, Japan, Norway, Canada, and the United Kingdom in Nigeria have welcomed the signing of the second peace accord. Also, we have, ahead of the polls, social media giant Meta formerly known as Facebook, in charge of Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, have disclosed their readiness to remove the most serious kinds of misinformation from Facebook and Instagram and other content that could contribute to imminent violence or physical harm or that is intended to suppress voting. Thank you very much, Meta. I'll leave that at that.
I hope you'll be able to do it properly, though, because again, it depends on what you are able to identify as fake news,
Well, it said that what they're looking at now is they will specifically include photos and videos that are shared out of context that falsely depict ballot stuffing and acts of violence and all of that. So they are working with independent fact-checking organizations in Nigeria who review and rate the content in English, Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo. So when a content is rated false or partly false by these fact-checkers, they attach warning labels to the content, reduce its distribution so that people are less likely to see it. Yes, that's what.
But I think we should also work more on results announcements, announcement of results, because again, some of these fake news will come in the form of fake results. Elections are still going, results are already trickling in, people are already congratulating themselves, declaring themselves winners of elections when they've not been announced, and that for me is the biggest issue with fake news during elections.
Thank you. Apologies for that. Thank you very much for that.
Like something states, we want all those kind of things,
Some people just maybe in their polling units, maybe a candidate wins and we have won, and they just move on, and then go on like
begin to release results, and all of that,
So let's be very, very careful. All right. Still, that's the major headline on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Moving on very quickly, we also have here politicians may trick Nigerians with new naira for votes. Yaga warns, and that's on page 3. Let's see what Yaga is on to here now. Yaga Africa has warned that economic hardship caused by scarcity of new naira notes may force some Nigerians in relinquishing their votes in exchange for hard to find currency. Fuad has always said this,
the vulnerability of Nigerians.
Yes, the fact that people don't have access will even make them more vulnerable and susceptible to vote buying. We'll have the conversation later on Mainland Focus, where the EFCC spokesperson will be speaking with us. Yes, hopefully will be joining us in the conversation. But then Yaga board chairman disclosed this while presenting the organization's preliminary statement on conduct of the presidential election. He said, and I'm quoting, "This growing discontent among citizens may lead to voter apathy in the form of protest, which will eventually lead to low voter turnout. We're also worried that citizens facing these forms of adversities may be unable to make informed choices at the polls." That's reports from Yaga.
Well, we are not going to fault that report because, again, the facts are there to somehow support their position on this issue. But I think what we can do is continue to encourage Nigerians that despite the seeming hardship out there, despite the frustrations, despite the economic hardship that this policy has brought onto them, I think we can always bear the pain for now, and ensure that somehow we go out there and vote, irrespective of the pains and the challenges that we're going through at this time. I think it was the president that said that it was a necessary pain that we had to go through to eventually elect a credible leader that will be able to turn things around for the country. So if we look at that light at the end of the tunnel, let's just go through this dark patch and come out with a brighter future eventually.
Okay, we also have here Rivers APC petitions European Union election observers, US International Criminal Court on rising insecurity, and that's on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. 4 killed. It's okay. 4 killed, 63 arrested as rival party supporters clash in Kano. That's on page 30. 10-year-old boy down with stroke, hole in heart, needs 7 million naira for surgeries. And that's on page 9 of the Guardian newspaper.
So, philanthropists out there, if you're interested in that, I think it's on the Guardian newspaper, right? The details are in the Guardian newspaper.
On page 9, you can get all.
You want to help?
We can do what we can. I mean, it's a young boy. Yes, there we have it. So the family of Okeke Chinedu has appealed to the public for financial help to save their 10-year-old son, William Chukuma Chinedu, who requires multiple surgeries worth about $15,000, that's 7 million naira, to save him from a stroke and a hole in the heart. All right. So the information and even the account details, yes, it's on page 9 of
And I'm
the
sure
Guardian.
Guardian would have done their verifications. They've done their,
No, it's on another paper. It's not just
to you.
this one. I
So
think
I'm
it's
sure
on-
there's a Nigerian that can give you $1 million. You see people who spend more than that at parties. This is a good way to spend money, really, to to get the favor of God.
That's on page 9. And finally, Nigerians go to poll amid hope, high stakes, huge expectations. These expectations, we all have them, but then at the end of the day, let's
Nigeria
all,
first.
Yes, at the end of the day, Nigeria first. All right. As someone posted something, and I don't quite agree. The fact that he said, "Oh, I'm this tribe first before Nigeria," and I said, "No, being a Nigerian makes you that tribe, because there are Brazilians who are Yorubas,
Of course,
but they are not Nigerians."
Yeah,
So are you saying? So that context.
I think Nigeria first for everybody.
Nigeria first for everybody, irrespective of
tribe,
what,
religion,
what
ethnic
tribe or
coloration.
Nigeria first. All right, thank you very much. That's all the trending stories that we have on the front pages of our dailies. We'll be back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus. Unfortunately, we won't be taking any calls.
Campaigns
have ended, so we can't take that risk, because we know people will want to take advantage. So we won't be taking any calls. We'll just be having
you enjoy the show.
live conversations, yes, as regards voter education. Yes, so stay with us. We'll be back by 8:40. Don't touch the dial. Stay tuned. This is 98.3 Mainland FM, the sound of Lagos.